Welcome to the Bryan Insights Extraordinary Organization video series. In this video, I share the trends that are compelling evidence that HR must transform. We can't keep doing the same things and expecting different results. I'm Dr. Tomi White Bryan. It's my privilege to be with you. I'm the creator of the Emotional Intelligence 3.0 body of work, a system for achieving extraordinary performance. This system includes blueprints, models, assessments, tools, and guides filled with activities that free the extraordinary within for individuals, teams, organizations, and their leaders. Let's begin with who will get the most out of this video. Before we jump into who these videos are for, letting you know I'm going to cut my camera off so we can focus on the slides instead of my really bad video editing skills. So these videos are for HR professionals who are genuinely interested in transforming HR from people operations to people strategy. You want to be the architect of an extraordinary culture, and you have the authority and the budget to make it happen. If you don't have that third one, then all of this is probably a wish for you. The strategic what is HR's evolution from people operations to people strategy, becoming the architect of organizational transformation rather than a support function that gets dragged along. Strategy doesn't wrap around people, people wrap around strategy. This shift in mindset is essential. There's no strategy without people. There's no finance without people. There's no product without people. That leads us to the next what. It's the urgency what. The data we collect on people show we are trending in the wrong direction, and that data speaks volumes. It says traditional approaches are broken. That leaves HR with a choice: architect the future or get dragged by it. And well, I don't know about you, but I'm not a fan of being dragged along. Why should you care? If you deeply care about your people, and you're in HR, so I know you do, you want them to flourish. And that only truly happens in a specific type of organizational structure. It's the purpose-led, values-based culture of trust. That actually is the bullseye. If you want to be extraordinary, where people and profit come together, then it's the purpose-led, values-based culture of trust. That's the end game, the bullseye for your strategic framework in your organization. And why should it be your strategic bullseye? The impact of performance of being a purpose-led, values-based culture of trust is phenomenal. An analysis of the 100 best workplaces reveals that their cultures of trust experience at 8.5 times greater revenue per employee. For the purpose-led organizations, they grow revenues 4 times faster than peers and have stronger talent attraction and retention numbers. The values-driven organizations, they see improved employee well-being and greater customer satisfaction. Using the purpose-led, values-based culture of trust as your bullseye is the strategic thread that leads to extraordinary organizational performance. Let me show you what extraordinary doesn't look like. It doesn't look like having no confidence in your data. And there's actually a hidden crisis in organizational culture right now over data. 71% of HR professionals don't trust their people data. 84% of CEOs are concerned about the integrity of their decision-making data, and 85% of executives believe they'd make better decisions with real-time data. And it doesn't look like a high transformation failure rate. The failure rate for transformations is 70%. And that 30% success rate really hasn't budged across many years of research. To compound the challenge, McKinsey surveys show that even successful transformations still leave significant value on the table. What that means is most leaders are flying blind with unreliable data and using approaches that statistically don't work, and they aren't being guided by those who understand transformation. And it certainly doesn't look like a 69% disengagement rate. Gallup engagement numbers for 2024 showed employee engagement at a 10-year low at 31%. Now, within that 69% disengagement rate, according to Gallup, 17% of employees are actively disengaged. It sure doesn't look like high burnout rates. 66% of American employees experience some type of burnout. And if you're familiar with stress and burnout, you know that long-time stress leads to burnout. Burnout's not something that comes before stress. It's the long-term stress that leads to it. And we've moved from tracking stress to tracking burnout because we've been in stress so long. Younger generations, and this is just so unfortunate to me, those 18 to 34 are facing significantly higher burnout rates in the 80% range. And we've got an extra little few tidbits for you there. 24% of the people in the Moodle survey are stressed because they say they have more work to complete than time to do it. Another 24% say they don't have enough resources or the right tools to do their job properly. And they say that the training and development programs they have access to are not helping. And it sure doesn't look like incivility. Right now, the estimate is that businesses lose $766 billion due to incivility within organizations. Workplace incivility was up 21.5% in the first quarter of 2025, according to SHRM's Civility Index. That equates to $2.1 billion per day because of reduced productivity and absenteeism. And it certainly doesn't look like conflict. Organizations lose $359 billion a year to internal conflict. That's because the average employee spends 2.8 hours per week navigating conflict. And that's just the cost of the conflict, as post-conflict turmoil, emotions, replaying the event, those sorts of things linger for employees. That carries a tax that further negatively impacts performance because their energy's focused on the post-conflict turmoil rather than performance. As an aside, I want to point out that incivility and conflict are different from each other. They're both fueled by drama, but they are different things. What this compelling evidence shows us is the root cause. Current HR and leadership strategies aren't getting the job done. To reverse the trend, HR must transform from people operations to people strategy. If we don't make this transformation within HR departments, we're going to continue to see those trends that we just went through go in the wrong direction. Why should I be your guide? I spent most of my life looking for the blueprint for extraordinary performance. I was born with a medical condition that left me with some brain damage. So when I went to school, it was just one big skirmish for me. And I always felt less than, and I carried that less than feeling into adulthood. And I kept thinking to myself, if I could just tap into my potential, all of it, if I could just find extraordinary performance, I would be okay. I could get rid of those less than feelings. And it actually became a lifelong pursuit. I went back to school to get a PhD, even though I already had a law degree from Wake Forest University. I also read thousands of books. I went to tons of workshops, got tons of certifications, including the ProSci Change Management certification. And what I was trying to do was build a blueprint of extraordinary for humans and the organizations they work in and the teams that they're part of and the leaders that lead them. I thought, I should start applying these theories in more than just a consulting role. So armed with my insights, I became the director of global talent development at Contour Brands, the holding company for Lee and Wrangler jeans, as they spun off from Fortune 500 VF Corp. And what my team and I did in those 18 months I was there is pretty remarkable. We rolled out a global core curriculum in multiple languages across diverse environments. We designed and launched a 5-year performance management strategy. We built comprehensive organizational toolkits. We created global dashboards that brought unprecedented transparency to HR teams and managers. We trained over 2,400 employees on core values. We coached senior leaders while orchestrating an entire festival of learning. That's a lot to accomplish in 18 months, and that's because I came to understand how to get to extraordinary, and I was able to use it at Contour. Now, I wasn't satisfied, so when I left Contour, I embarked on a 5-year deep dive into organizational performance, conducting multiple research studies to answer one burning question: what's the best structure for driving extraordinary performance in organizations? I always think about been there, done that. And what does that mean? I liken it to when Ron Rivera was the coach of the Carolina Panthers. And if you're an NFL fan, you'll remember this. The Panthers made it to the Super Bowl one year, and they were interviewing Coach Rivera before the big game. And he was talking about how his phone had been blowing up. Lots of calls, people trying to tell him what to do. And I just loved his response. And he said, people, if you've never been there, don't draw me a map. How true is that? If you've never won a Super Bowl, how do you know to do it? Well, I've been there, done that. I've done the research. I've lived in the organization. I know how to get to extraordinary performance. That's why I should be your guide. And from my research emerged a game-changing bullseye: the purpose-led, values-based culture of trust. That bullseye became my compass for helping individuals, teams, senior leaders, and organizations just like yours see the hidden dynamics that prevent extraordinary performance from occurring. Here's what it looks like. This is the blueprint that emerged from decades of field work and 5 years of rigorous scientific research. I call it the Trust-Based System of Extraordinary Performance, or TSEP for short. You can use this model to plot your course to the purpose-led, values-based culture of trust. It tells you what data matters. It's the maturity of your strategic and people framework. That's development and adoption. It's also leadership, communication, and collaboration styles, employee well-being in terms of engagement and stress, innovation and adaptability, and trust, which all point you toward that bullseye of culture. These are the 9 vital signs of organizational performance, and if you aren't measuring them, you don't have a clear picture of organizational performance and where the high change leverage point is. That's the one where a small amount of energy generates a big shift. You can learn more about the model in the video in this series on the data HR really needs. The link to it is in the comments. But I just want to harp on, if this is not your bullseye, and it's not for most organizations, I can tell you that. It's why the data trends are so negative right now. We are not paying attention to the correct things to shift employee engagement, shift burnout, shift that transformation failure rate. So what's the call to action here? If you want to be extraordinary, where people and profit come together, then a purpose-led, values-based culture of trust is your strategic bullseye. So we've almost reached the end of the video, and what I'd like to do is flip my camera back on so I can wave goodbye when the moment comes. Information is great, but it doesn't have any meaning if you don't know how to take action on it. That's why I like to end with what's next. If you'd like to learn more, you can watch another video in our series. You can also take our assessment center for a test drive by taking the Power Style inventory for free. Doing that allows you to see the data revealed by our assessments and how important data is to shaping any HR transformation or change initiative you may be thinking about. The Power Style inventory results also allow you to see the hidden dynamics of power and why you may not be able to achieve your greatest collaborations. Finally, if you still have more questions than answers, set up a clarity call. There's no strings attached. It's just us brainstorming what might be best for your HR department. The links for all three of these things are in the comments section. That wraps up this video. My wish for you is that you find the extraordinary within. It's already there, just waiting for the right structure to unleash it. Until next time, take care, my friend.